You're watching a segment of The Splash, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show.
I'm joined this week by Representative Ryan Berman of the Michigan's 39th District. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. So first off, I just want to get into your background and how did you get into politics?
Interesting. I've kind of always been involved in politics because at a young age, my uncle was the state representative and state senator for this area.
Oh, okay.
David Honigman. And so kind of grew up with it, obviously, in the family of doing doors with him and having that in the background. But he was an attorney, and my father is an attorney.
Okay.
And I have an older brother, Tom Berman, who was actually the county commissioner for this area for a little bit. But we grew up, and my father said, "You're going to law school. Whatever you want to do after that, you can do. But it gives you that education, that knowledge, and that empowerment. So if you want to go into politics like your uncle, you have to know the law to be able to change the law. You want to go into business, you don't have to be afraid if somebody threatens to sue you. You'll know your rights. You don't have to go out on the phone and call your attorney. Can I do this? Can I do that? It's that empowerment. I've always been interested and involved in law enforcement, and it's another thing. It gives you that opportunity to level up in your career, but also you got to know the law to enforce the law. So having that legal background and gives you options and abilities. And one of those things was when you have the ability to help somebody. I was raised obviously with public service, volunteerism. Use your skills and abilities to help others. And I saw my uncle do it. And my brother ended up running and getting on Keego Harbor City Council, then went to the Oakland County Commission, and I said, yeah, I would like to do this too. I didn't know if I had the politician, the typical personality to go out there doing small talk. I'm more of a worker guy who likes to get down to issues and do things like that, but ended up running, and it worked out, and I'm the new representative for the 39th District.
And how long have you been representative?
So I got elected in November, and so took office in January. So it's been 10 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what is your main driver for politics? What gets you motivated?
Pretty much just to do the right thing.
Okay.
What's going to help, what's going to be in the best interests of everybody, of not only the constituents in the 39th District, which is, number one concern, but also overall in the entire state. So any type of policy that comes up, it's, how is this going to affect our businesses, our residents? Is this in the best interest of everybody?
So what are some of the bills that you've passed or attempted to get passed that, focused on your main motivation? So I have 20 bills out there that I've submitted so far this year, and that legal background helps for, looking at maybe something that needs to be changed or doesn't make sense in our current law. But my main, driving factor is transparency, and that's one of the issues I ran on, is to expand our Freedom of Information Act. Michigan ranks pretty low overall in the country with our sunshine laws, our access to information. One of those reasons is the governor's office that we saw with the Flint water crisis isn't subject to our Freedom of Information Act, the executive. Also, the legislature isn't subject to it. So my first bill was part of a bipartisan package to expand the Freedom of Information Act to the governor's office, to the legislature, and my particular bill was called the Legislative Open Records Act. And it does exactly what it says, is it opens us up to those Freedom of Information Act type requests for citizens to see what exactly is going on to get that information. So bipartisan working together, is that something that's important to you in politics?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what this package was, a bipartisan package. And every one of my 20 bills that I've submitted has been bipartisan, has both Republicans and Democrat co-sponsors. And resolution. Actually, everyone except one this summer when I was working, there was really nobody else around to get to co-sponsor. It's not a really controversial issue, though. But
that's one of the reasons I ran. Okay. You know, we're looking at the divisiveness in this country overall at the federal level. We're looking at people being disenfranchised, being dissuaded, dismotivated for even being involved with politics because of how nasty it is. And when I was running last year, like, why are you running when it's so nasty? And literally that's why I'm running, is to bring back civility, to, you know, bring back discourse, being able to reach across the aisle, and sit down and do what's best for everybody. You know, I think there's more that we agree with than that we disagree with. Even within your own party, you're not going to agree 100% of the time with that party with somebody else. I mean, anybody that's married knows you're not going to agree with anybody 100% of the time. But it's finding those common issues or common bonds to bring consensus together. And as a lawyer, I had to do it. As a certified mediator, bringing, you know, parties with you know, that could be clashing, and to say, you know, all right, time out. What can we do to typically have a win-win situation?
So do you plan on bringing this bipartisan, you know, support higher up? Do you plan on keep running and moving your way up in politics?
You know what? I didn't, you know, envision that. Okay. Initially, I believe in the citizen legislator, go and doing your time and coming back. That's one of those things with term limits. My predecessor, Clint Kustasz, served 3 terms. That's all you can. So you can serve 3 terms in the House of 2 years each, and then 2 terms in the Senate, 4 years each. And I was a proponent of term limits and gets things going, but now that I'm in and it's a conversation that's brought up, I definitely don't want to be in for more than that, but it's some people that do. You want to have that experience in your legislator. You know, you're coming in, and when it flips over like that, you have a lot of new faces, new people, and there's not a lot of institutional knowledge of why things were. I mean, we were actually voting on bills this term that were just passed last term, and, you know, with new people, and I was like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this now when it's just the law changed 2 years ago, or less than 2 years? I mean, a year ago.
So is there anything else coming up, any bills that you got coming up that you want to talk about, any issues?
Yeah, you know what? One of my bills that affect everybody in the state, but in this district in particular, is the Tree Owner Liability Act. Okay. And that's actually coming up in the local government committee on Wednesday that I'll be testifying in front of, along with Lance Stokes, who's a planning commission member in West Bloomfield here. And what the Tree Owner Liability Act, and I've dealt with this situation as an attorney, as a homeowner, and as a member of the board of on my homeowners association. There's a lot of neighbor disputes right now where if your neighbor's tree falls in your yard, under the law currently, it's typically considered an act of God, because when it happens, it's part of a storm. Either lightning hits it, or more in what we saw recently in these storms, these great windstorms, the wind is knocking it down. So that in the legal sense field is called an act of God, and when that happens, you as an innocent homeowner, you're just sitting there, your neighbor's tree falls, you're responsible to, if it damages something, to make a claim against your homeowner's insurance, or if not, cut it up, pay for it to be hauled out and cleaned up. And it's a little counterintuitive. You'd think, hey, your neighbor, it's their tree, they should be responsible for it. And so what this bill does is says, it's the neighbors, the landowner where the tree is located, it's their responsibility for that. Because a lot of times, whether fault or just neglect, people aren't trimming their trees or really inspecting them, taking care of them, and I think this would bring a little bit more personal responsibility back on that. But it's really kind of the way it should be, and it is in other situations. We have a statute from 1905 that says if your tree falls in the roadway, you're responsible to clear it and clean it up. But it doesn't have anything about private property.
So it sounds like it's like an issue that affects everybody, especially in this Michigan area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there any website or social media you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is. I have www.repberman, BERMAN.com. That's my official website for the State House. And if you just go to the Google Michigan Legislature and look up Ryan Berman, that's the official one. But as far as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that, it's all the same. It's elect Ryan Berman. So it's just the three, elect Ryan Berman.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me today.
No, thanks for having me.
Once again, we've been joined by Representative Ryan Berman.
Thanks for watching this segment of The Splash. To watch the entire show or other segments, catch us on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. Or look us up online at thesplash.tv and listen to us every week on 89.3 WBLD, the all-new Lakes FM.